It's a little after 10, so we should get started here.
Your
So.
ball from Rainbow Gardens.
I was gonna
minutes, right?
ask you that, where's it at?
You all look at the agenda
Nice
here.
garage.
You got the Rainbow Gardens one,
Yeah.
but you don't know whose garage?
Yeah, it's Bruce Lee has that.
Okay, let's call it order here now.
There's
So,
a Bruce body shop.
other end of the table, we're going to call the meeting to order now.
Troublemakers.
If you all look at the agenda, which was passed out, is the purpose of this meeting is to share information and to help each other along the way if we got any issues or problems or networking, that we can help each other promote the history of Northwest Wisconsin. So,
Brian, did you want us to introduce Amory Historical Society now, or did you want us to wait?
I suppose since you guys are hosting it, if you just do like a brief introduction.
Okay.
Like we
Well,
So what other business, are you gonna take minutes?
I am.
She's good at it.
okay, a call to order, roll call. I think we should introduce ourselves so we know who everybody is. So and we're your and which museum that you're representing. So I guess, Di, you want to start off?
No, you start.
Okay, I'll start. My name is Jim Meyer. I'm president of the Amory Historical Society Museum here.
I'm Gary Healy, I'm maintenance manager of the Amory Historical Society.
And I'm Diana Haley, and I'm the secretary treasurer and kind of coordinate the museum activities and stuff.
My name is Ray Kress. I'm a cohort of Tim Lees here at the Clear Lake Museum.
The one is haunted.
So you say. And I am Tim, so.
William Johnson, Frederick Area Historical Society for,
We're there.
yeah, all museums are haunted.
Oh, ours, okay.
Yeah, ours definitely is.
I'm Pat Keller, I'm the secretary for the Berkshire Area Historical Society.
Sarah Pico, Barron County Historical Society, Pioneer Village Museum.
I'm Tammy, and I'm also at the Pioneer Village.
I'm Charles Knapp, I'm with Pioneer Village Museum, so.
Yeah, I'm Dave Skrupke, and I guess I am now the president of GTLAA, which means that I'm kind of,
The museum.
yeah.
I'm
Turtle Lake
Diane,
Museum.
I'm the secretary.
What's GT?
Greater Turtle Lake Area Association.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Nice big name.
So I think we should all add greater to our
Yeah.
Or you could say the greatest.
greatest.
I'm Brenna Weston, I am the director of the greatest Polk County Museum.
Hey, I gotta add to
Russ
that.
Hanson from Cushing, Sterling, Eureka, and Lake Town Historical Society, home of the obsolete media lab.
Brenna is also the new Wisconsin Local History Council Northwest representative.
Awesome, good.
Yes.
Surprise, no. Yeah.
Now, I'd like to have everybody, welcome everybody again here to the Amory. We'd like to have you review the agenda, and if there's any additions or you'd like to add to it.
I'll make a motion to approve it as it is.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Pat.
Opposed? Carried. Approve the minutes from the September 10th meeting, they're also included.
I'll also make a motion to approve the minutes.
I would second it.
Who was that?
Oh,
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carried.
Do you want us to do our little introduction now, or do you want to wait till what?
Oh, about your museum? Yeah, you sure can, since you guys are hosting it, and then we can save the actual museum updates for later.
In your packet, I have a history of the Amory Historical Society, a little brief summary there, and just some more our goals and our vision and all that kind of back, and photo of our museum. So, if you have any questions, come up to us later. And hi, welcome. This is the agenda right here in the old minutes. And the coffee and cookies in the back.
And tell them who you are, because we just did that.
Oh, sorry I'm late, okay. It's wrapping presents.
Laurie DeMore from the Clear Lake.
There should be a sign-in roster going around there, if you would sign that and pass it around. I'm done.
You doing any more with this, or?
Yeah. That's it, I just turned the museum
Okay.
packet.
Committee reports. American 250 project update.
Well, where are we, Russ? Well, okay, being that none of us were ambitious to do very much yet, I asked ChatGPT, the artificial intelligence thing, to outline what we should do. And so it's attached, I guess, to the agenda, right?
Oh, okay.
So this is what the artificial intelligence thing, based on the list, in the minutes from last month, we had a list of the topics. And I said, Northwest, I asked it, I just said, the Northwest Wisconsin Museum Consortium is going to write a book with these topics, what should we put in it? And so it looked up some of your museums. For instance, on chapter 1, Paleo-Indian Mound Building Era, it says some topics, and it says, Indigenous artifacts and mound reconstructions at the Burnett County Historical Society, displays of early trade networks at the Polk County Museum. But what you need to do is be human beings, and under there, add your point of view, point of what you got in your museum that would be useful if somebody was interested in that topic. So this is a start by what's known about you off the internet, but not, so anyway, each of those chapters that we had decided on, what was it, 5 years ago, Dave?
Maybe 3.
Yeah, anyway, what we had changed, we had decided to say, we're going to feature your museums and what you have in your museum for people interested in these topics, including some photos of these items. And you have a nice, quiet winter ahead of you to work on these things. And the deadline will be January 30th.
Of what year?
Yeah, well, we gotta have a deadline or nobody will do anything. But, so anyway, that was our thing. And so we're trying to make this an advertisement for your museums. So if you have something on, let's pick a topic here. Like over at Turtle Lake, they got and Barron, they have a nice display of farm machinery. And so you could, if there's a farming topic, which I can't remember.
Yeah, I think there's
Yeah,
seven.
you can
Chapter
say,
7.
if you come to Barron County's Pioneer Village, you can see everything that a farmer used 100 years ago, everything, right? Just about everything.
No sawmill, right?
Oh, no, not a sawmill, but, anyway, so that's where we're at. We still haven't given up on the book, but we need people to participate, and say what they've got that would fit. So, I'm a tourist, I'm gonna read this book, and I'm gonna say, boy, I'm really interested in railroads. And then I'll say, okay, looks like I better go up to Frederick. Where else should I go in the county or the Northwest Wisconsin to find railroad information? That would be our guide. Okay? Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what you gotta tell us. And I'm not writing this book, you guys are writing it, I'm assembling it.
I have a
So-
question, and this could be a committee discussion.
You have a comment, not a question, because I don't answer questions, I just say,
Right, you're
where
right,
you
you're
are,
right,
what should we
okay.
do?
I have a larger question for the group. If there were, so some of the things I think are important are, it doesn't have to be like a history of every single thing, but if there's something that could be like an object history that's related to, it doesn't necessarily have to be like a super important person, but somebody that had some kind of like, you know, local significance, or just the fact that they have a very detailed history based on the object that was donated to your museum. Would something like that be of interest to anybody, like vignettes on like, hey, so at you know, at the Polk County Museum, we have, you know, this artifact that was donated by this person. Like, we have, like, stuff from Mary Sorensen, who was like, you know, one of the first women doctors in the area. So we have some of her items, so like having a little vignette on like Mary Sorensen and how she's, you know, stuff like that. And I'm not saying, because again, that's more work for everybody.
No, we do it this way. If you already have done something like that, just send it to us. If you've got a story and some pictures on Dr. Sorensen, you know, you don't have to recreate it, you can just pass it along if you think it'd be interesting. Right now, we have nothing in the book, so we're open.
What's your page count? Like, what are you
We
expecting
can
to
do, publishing it with Amazon, you can do up to 400 pages.
That's a lot, okay.
Yeah, and that's enough so that it's a book that somebody who turned 78 years old today
Happy birthday!
wouldn't even want to lift.
What are you capable of lifting?
Yeah, because it's 100 pages.
So
Yeah.
how big was your book? How many pages is that?
344.
Okay, so it'd be about that size.
Yeah, well, I mean,
We could get up to
whatever
that
we
size.
get, we can do a minimum size of something like 50 pages, all the way up to probably 400 or 500 maybe. I mean, they'll, with the normal binding they have.
Yeah.
It'd be about this big.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
What did that one cost?
344. This book, 35.
And was that through Amazon?
No, you,
No, what it costs?
that's what we would pay her to buy it.
To buy this book.
Right, what did it cost?
We paid $20 for each book to be printed.
And is that what you think it's gonna cost us from
Nope.
Amazon?
It'll
Amazon's
cost
usually
you about,
cheaper.
if it's black and white, and we have moderately decent paper and stuff, anywhere from 15 to 20 bucks. And you can go cheaper by having poorer quality paper and stuff, but
Yeah, I don't think we want to go cheap.
no, well, I was gonna say, if we get some information in here, so you're all,
I'll let you know.
are you all properly enthused to go back now and
Absolutely.
put something in? Otherwise, we're gonna have a thing, that says, Turtle Lake Museum, and then a blank on it.
so do we get John Till? Should we do him?
Sure.
Does anybody else have him in their museum? Like, do you have stuff? I mean, you do? So we can talk about that and put it
Well,
somewhere.
that's a good
Because we have
character.
stuff and you
Yeah,
have
that's an
stuff.
interesting character.
See, we would have Howard Morey, who was very involved in beginning aviation in the state of Wisconsin. So that's a great idea.
And Frederick could have, who's Frederick Starr, right? I don't know, have you guys got some information already on some of these people? So go through your files and things that are already done,
And of
and
course,
just
Gaylord Nelson.
say, okay, and if they're just on paper, we can scan them and put them in anyway. It doesn't matter. We just need content right now. I'm not very fussy right at the moment. Okay.
Okay, that took care of the project 250, huh?
Well, that's the only thing that we know of. The other suggestion is on, July 4th, 2026, we coordinate some activities or do something. Or I would suggest at the county fairs maybe, like Polk County covers one and Barron County and whatever else, you know, that's a good place to do stuff.
So also, at the State Historical Society Conference, they were talking about 2 Lights for America.
2 lights?
2 Lights, and that's coming
I'll
up
pass this around
way
to you
sooner.
all. It's a national initiative.
And that'll be this coming year in April. It was, actually came up, the idea for it came up from a gentleman from a Wisconsin museum, the Wisconsin Veterans Museum. And it has to do with, you know, the Polar Bears ride, 1 by land, 2 by sea.
So So we don't have to have everything on the 4th of July, we can have things all summer, so
Yeah,
that people can go to different museums.
I think it's technically July 4th, 2025 to July 4th, 2026, I think was like
Oh.
the whole, like it culminates on like
The
July
Two
4th,
Lights kicks it
2026,
off.
but yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
this April.
Yep, yeah.
That's this April, because Fogger's Ride kind of started
Yeah.
the lead up to the Declaration of Independence. There's also this pamphlet, Making History at 250. If you go to the website, they will send you these for free.
Oh yeah, that's a
think-
really good information.
And it gives information. So I do want this back, but I'll pass it around if you want to write down their website.
Didn't we get these here one of
Yeah.
them?
I thought we did, yeah.
Somebody was here and passed these.
Oh, so
I
you
think Janet
don't need to
did.
do that?
There's
so-
a new one of those too.
So just to summarize this quickly, what they're saying is that those 2 days in April that kind of started it all, they would like some sort of thing done in the community or at your school, and then the second day would be a day of service. So it says, how to participate. On the 18th, they want 2 lights they're going to be displayed in every state house in the whole country. And so if that's something that your organization would be interested in putting 2 lights out that day, and then they're saying that the following day, promote a day of service at the community level. So do some volunteer projects. So they give you some examples. And then if you go to the back, they have a website that has toolkits, lesson plans, maps, all kinds of information. So as Tammy said, the guy that you contact is from the Veterans Museum here in Wisconsin. And it's a big national initiative to set it off. So it's gonna be a pretty big deal if people participate.
So they wanna know what we plan then, or?
Or just,
No,
So these are just ideas.
Oh, I know, I just went,
they do wanna kinda know if you're going to do the 2 lights, because they're kinda keeping track of how many organizations are
but,
doing the
and
2
it
lights.
does say they're developing a toolkit.
Yeah.
So
And a website.
I met with our county administrator and our tourism director, and we're going to have a whole, like a bunch of stuff that Barron County is going to do. And this is one of them that the county's planning on. Sarah is taking this to the local schools. You want to tell them about that?
Well, the plan is, I'm going to have students make tin can lanterns. So you take a tin can, and then you do the punch tin, and then you have a little thing, and then they're gonna make a lantern. And the thing with our school is that week of April 17th and 18th is their spring break. So the week before spring break, I'm gonna go in and have them make the lanterns, and then the week after, we're going to light them all, like either outside or in the commons. I'm gonna dress up like a colonist, and I'm writing up a script about Paul Revere and how this all started off. So it's in the works, but the principal in the school district is very on board with it, and as it gets developed, we're gonna do it. And then each student then will get their own little lantern, and we're hoping it's gonna be a memory.
Is that for a certain
Yeah.
grade that you're doing? Or all
I
the
wanna do
students?
I wanna do all grades, but I know I wanna do high school and middle school. And they'll pick a day of service. I'm not quite sure about elementary yet. I'm not familiar with working with elementary kids, so I'm gonna have to talk to those teachers and kind of see, what they're doing. But I think it'll be kind of fun and educational, obviously, and maybe get people involved and interested in volunteering at the museum or participating in other things, So that's what we're looking at. But this presentation at that conference was really good, really interesting, and I just hope Wisconsin does a lot. Really cool.
I was trying to look up what was happening in 1776 in our area, and from, the Native Americans were here, but there were some explorers coming through, and I bumped into this recent article that there was a rock up in Minnesota that said Duluth on it, 16 something or other, So this is the time to find a piece of sandstone, go out and carve something. Just put, you know, like a rune stone or something, and carve it and bring it out and say, whoa, look what I found. We have to figure out what's appropriate though.
Turtle Lake casinos. 16.
The timing of that comes pretty close to Earth Day. Our community does a service
Yeah.
on or near Earth Day, which is the 22nd, so maybe a way to connect the two
Oh, that would be
of
awesome.
those things.
That'd be awesome.
Okay. Did we just pass over, did we just do the passport program, or what's?
It's just a recurring thing, so if anybody has any updates, that you want for the passports themselves, or if you want me to send you, you know, the PDF of what I have for you to print or anything like that, just let me know.
So I have a thought, that passport program, if we put that on as a Clio tour, you know, cause we still have that membership with, Northern Wisconsin, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If we put that on there, that could be a tour, and we already have.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have login information, do you wanna send it to me? Or do you wanna connect me with, I don't know if I still have her email address, but.
Care to say that?
Yes, but yeah, I can log in and I can plug in, again, like at least the people that, I'm pretty sure everybody in this room is part of it, so there's not any.
Yeah, we have to have a couple paragraphs about each one, but that shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, usually what I tend to do is I just pull it from your websites or your Facebook pages, like from the about section, so unless there's something wrong in there that, that needs to be changed, just let me know, but, yeah.
Okay. Wisconsin Historical Society?
Yeah, so Janet couldn't make it, but this was just, the information on here is just what she sent to me. So they will be communicating with affiliates and other local partners to coordinate programs and activities for the History Makers Tour. So because they don't have their own, they're remodeling or building a new museum space in Madison. So that's not gonna be open until 2027. So what they're doing in the meantime is they basically have received large grants to kind of coordinate these section parts of Wisconsin over like the next couple of years, or I think it's 6 months at a time. So next year they'll largely be, or the latter half of next year they'll be in northwest Wisconsin. So they should be reaching out, so if you're an affiliate with the Wisconsin Historical Society, you should have probably already gotten an email, I know we did. From somebody, either Mallory or Sarah, to kind of talk more about any options for the History Makers Tour. So I've already chatted with her a bit about it, about Mallory, or with Mallory, and so I mean, I know for our museum, we've already set up, we've reserved like an exhibit, like a rotating exhibit that can come through. But they also have speakers that can come give talks next year, you know, and the thing is that they will pay for the cost of it. So they will cover the cost of getting a speaker to come to your museum, or they will cover the cost of getting like a rotating exhibit to come to your museum. They also have like outdoor displays that'll go up, or that can go up. I can't remember what else it was. They have like they have like walking tours too, which probably works a little better in bigger cities. But yeah, so if you haven't heard from somebody already, you can certainly reach out to the Wisconsin Historical Society and make sure that your like affiliation is active, and then kind of get in contact with them.
Do you know when those came?
Probably within the last month or so. I think Mallory's came like early November to me, I think. So
I can go back and look.
it could have been late October, but yeah, I remember setting up a meeting with her, and then obviously Thanksgiving and all that kind of stuff. And then yeah, so because who was our outreach coordinator before?
It was,
Liz Arbuckle?
Yes, so because Liz left, she said she will be hiring a new outreach and partnership coordinator for the northern region, like, soon. So early 2025, and by then she should hopefully reach out and introduce this person to us. So it might be nice if we could get, you know, if she hires somebody, if they can get them to come to like the mini conference when we set that up, but I'm sure that person will also be busy, so.
Is that on our agenda? Cause this is the one we have to discuss.
No, I didn't put it on there, but no, it should be on there. I did put the scheduling review on there because somebody from Grantsburg suggested it, but we could also redo the, add to the agenda, maybe come through. But yeah, so that's all Janet really had to say.
Okay. Does that include the bus tour also?
That's a good question. I don't know. So there is the Wisconsin, whatever their History Makers tour. They have like a subsection on their website that will show all of the different options that they have. I think there's like 6 different options for things that you can do. So I know tours are one, but I don't know if bus tours. So
The county museum, a couple decades ago, used to do some bus tours.
oh yeah, I found all of the plans for it just shoved into a bin in the archive. So. So.
At least you were looking.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it also includes the Wisconsin Historical Society and Council for local history.
I wondered if that's what you were talking about. No, the Northern Wisconsin Heritage Council, Sarah and I went to the only time we've gone to one of their meetings, but the one that they had in November. And I don't know, guys, I'm really excited about this. Most of the conversation had to do with the Clio tours, but I think it would be so perfect for us to start that. I think that doing it with the passport program would be a start. But even within your own organization, if you want to put up any tours, and like for instance, we're just working on one of our museum because we happen to have so darn many buildings and it's taken us forever. Kind of what some of our exhibits are in the buildings, which then we can turn that into turn it in for the book. But this last meeting, they talked a lot about like signage. So say you want to do one on a tour on, think of lumber camps that had been in your area in the 1800s. So then you mark your spots and you talk a little bit about each one, and you put it, they put it up for you online. You can select on the webpage to get a QR code for it. Then you can do signage, and they've got some suggestions now for, like if you say your information, maybe you laminate it and you put it in a frame that you can buy off Amazon for like that size would probably be like $25, and you clip it in there. I mean, actually they'd be bigger than that, but you clip it in there, and the QR code, if people go around, then you put it at the site. Okay, this was where there was a logging camp. So you go to that site and people scan it with their camera, and they could either then read it or listen to what it had to say, because you can turn it into voice as well. And it just looks slicker than slick. And the more of us that are doing it, the more people are going to come to this area. They have like 1,800 people, 1,800 I think was the number, hits, where people have actually gone on some of these tours in northern Wisconsin already, and they haven't even advertised it yet. This is just people that are organically finding it by Googling, things to do in my area, or logging camps and, things like that. Did you put this up?
Oh, did it come up? I was going to give you an example of how the Sterling Eureka Lake Town Historical Society does our River Road Ramble. We do a Google map with the locations of what's for sale, where you can stop. So for instance, here is the Brust one. Let's see if they got any. I gotta put my glasses on.
Is that a Clio one that you're using?
No, this is just a free Google. You just make a map on it.
And that's what this is like.
Always, every place you go, they want to charge you to participate. You don't need to do any of that stuff if you just use what's out there free. So, for instance, well, let's pick a real interesting one here. How about the Cushing Museum? I could pick.
Yeah.
How about the Hanson Yard and Garden Sale?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was fun. That was a good one.
So these are just, all you're doing is making a map, a Google map. You just say, I want to create a Google map So for instance, let's take this one that has all of the historical markers in Polk County. I hired a person to do
Is that
this
public?
last year.
Brush, is that public?
Yeah, it's all these are public. I put them out, nobody uses them, but they're
Yeah.
available. This is all of the historical markers that were put up in the 80s in Wisconsin. And if you wanted to, you could take and put something behind them. For instance, I don't know if I've done any of these. Let's pick a, all right, Farmington. That's where the red schoolhouse came from at the fairgrounds. I think maybe that was here. Nope, that's a farm. East Farmington School. But what you can do is you can say, gee, I'd like to add an image, I'd like to add some text, and I can just put this up. So,
Is this like Wikipedia where anybody can edit it, or is it
no,
like?
you just
is it-
create editors, anybody who want to.
Okay.
So I created it, and then I hired this person to put these all on there. We had a grant.
Okay,
So we had them put everything on there that was on the historical markers.
So-
And then our goal was is
Can that go
to
to
keep,
Clio?
it can go to Clio. You could, you know, you could
I
contact them
don't
and
do
have.
anything I have to pay to join.
No, no, no. We paid as a group. It was
Yeah, I know,
$100 for, when we all paid.
Why go through an extra layer?
Here's why, I'm trying to tell you, because they're going to put that out there with all the other ones, cause it'll, who, like you said, nobody sees it, nobody knows about it.
Okay,
They're going to be promoting it.
these are really easy to do, and if you haven't done one, let's take, I
Plus-
got one.
Plus,
We're working on the, you know, you're talking about tours. Okay, there's a group of us working on something called the Northwest Sands Auto Tour. Starts at Wolf Creek or St. Croix Falls, follows the sand boundary all the way up to like Bayfield or something, and it's gonna be a self-guided auto tour. And so, I think I started the, trip here.
so Russ, the whole thing is, not only would you, I mean, you're doing this wonderful thing that nobody's seeing, why not let everybody see it? and
Well, I
it'll help?
do. The problem is they don't
They
click
don't
on my
know.
links my Sterling Eureka and Laketown Historical Society Facebook page and web pages are not highly attended, and so then they don't get very many.
That's what I'm saying, is then you kind of have this extra boost, so you're
Yeah.
all, and you did all the work. And the rest of us that aren't so techy, they
Well,
help you
this
with the
doesn't
text part
This
of it.
doesn't take any
That Heritage
technology
Council
at all.
is
You
designed
say
to
that,
put.
but you know, not everybody's there.
Okay, I just went to I searched on my Google Maps. Brings me up to a page that says, create a new map. And so I'll create it. Could learn how to do it, but, so here's a new map. So I start putting stuff out. So let's go to Amory.
Yes, make ours.
Amory,
They have
Amory,
over
Wisconsin
1,700 walking.
Museum. Let's see if Google knows about you. Oh, the Clear Lake Museum.
No, just,
Well,
So
that's good for
these
us.
are already known spots that Google knows about, but let's say, what's your address?
109 Maple Street.
109 Maple
Street East.
Street East, Amory, Wisconsin. Okay, so there's a click. So I'll add it to this map I'm just creating. Now I'll describe it and everything like that, and put a picture if I wanted to. And there's my first thing on my own personal map, which I'll probably call something like Amory Area Historical.
Will you send me that link and then I
No,
can
no,
build
you
on
just
it?
do your own.
No, you just started it.
Because this is just a fake one. Okay, but anyway, those are really easy to do. I've got one for the consortium members somewhere out here too.
Okay,
That's
so
all the ones.
So just as an aside, back with Clio as well, I think this would be, again, if somebody, I will volunteer, if somebody would like to get onto Clio, which I can as soon as I get the information from Karen, I think, so going back to the America 250 thing, since I know we all typically have stuff going on, I would assume everybody has some kind of plan to do something within 2025, 2026 for this America 250. Creating not only this book, but then creating like a Clio map of like, hey, America 250 events as a tour that people can, and as long as you can kind of hype it up, send it out to your memberships, and then as long as Karen and them can also hype it up. Can they like expire kind of a thing? Like, can you
I
set it
think we
like?
could take it down.
Okay, cause like I think if you could do something to where like if we all can agree on like we have a set event on, you know, whatever dates, we can post them online for people to look and say, oh wow, well this weekend there's something going on at the Polk County Museum. Oh well, next weekend there's something going on at the Berrien County Museum, at the Pioneer Village. Something like that, so then again, if you send it to me, I can create it and post it. Same thing with Russ in the book. If you send it to him, he will create it.
How this is used on the Ramble is I create, as people sign up, we have like 70 stops this year. As people sign up, I create the link. Most of them, 70% are recurring ones, so I don't have to do much. I either remove or add a new one, put it down there, make it all available, do a bunch of advertising, including Facebook paid advertising, so that one gets thousands of hits, okay? And that's what the guide is, and then you can print it out too if you wanted to. But, so it's just we have this St. Croix Falls to Grantsburg thing every year. It was our 19th year this year. And this is our guide to it. And,
You can put that in Clio.
yeah, well, we had, the complaint we had this year was there's too many stops for a one-day event. And so people complained that they wanted us to expand it, but, I mean, that's, I guess, success. I'll maybe prune it next year.
Tammy, so as a consortium, we're members of the Northern Wisconsin Heritage Council. So then, does that then give us the ability to use the Clio?
Well, the Clio's free, anybody
Oh,
can
okay, you
use
just
it.
have to join or.
But they have a tech person that will help those of us that are not as techy, and they are going to promote it.
Tammy, could you tell me what Clio means, what it stands for?
I have no idea. It
I'm
was
on
a
their
college
site.
professor came up with it as a program for his history students.
Oh,
It's an educational website and mobile application that guides the public to thousands of historical and cultural sites throughout the U.S.
Is there a
Along with
website
nature
for it?
Yep,
Well,
it's
let's see.
theclio.com.
Clio.com?
Yeah.
The Clio.
The Clio, C-L-I-O.
Dot,
Um,
D-O-T or just,
C-L-I-O.
Like a period mark,
let's see if we can. find something.
theclio.com.
The Clio.
Oh, no, we did too.
bring it up.
No, you went to something else.
Yeah,
That's the
nonprofit and free for everyone, yeah.
All right, so what do I have to do?
Theclio.com.
Theclio.com?
There it is.
But they also have like how to create an entry, how to, you know.
Yeah, they have their own guides.
And that's the problem is I looked at it and I thought, my God, why would I wanna do all that overhead just to get something out?
Because it's free, it's the same as yours.
Because something is free, if it's
I know, but
complicated.
if you've
Your
already done the
complaint right
work.
now was the cost.
You've
I
already
just
done the
referring
work.
to that,
You could
there's
just-
no cost.
You could just.
At 78 years old, I looked for the simplest solution to everything, and I hate layers of management and paperwork and
Well,
having
just
to
take
get
his
things
word
approved.
and
Why
put
would
it
you
on
do,
Clio.
why would
It's
you go
not
through
like
all that?
But if you scroll down on the right, you will see that there's a place to click on for museums.
So where is
So
Clio?
right there,
No,
Historical Society, Museums and
where
Libraries.
is Clio for Dummies? So that's the place I should click?
Yep.
Oh, I have to have an institutional login, huh? Well, I don't know. I don't have that, so, see, that's
Well, but
already.
you're gonna make
It
one.
already said, oh gee, where the heck did I
Well,
put that?
that's so easy. What's your institution?
Yeah.
But
so
the
I-
reason you would do it is for the promotion.
Okay, so obviously I'm too old to learn.
Not if you did all those other things.
Yeah.
Well, we got all this done.
Okay, so then the bus tours, I think, because we've talked about doing one as a group, but I do wanna tell you about a bus tour that came to our museum this fall. And it was from a history organization over towards Green Bay. And they went on a 3-day tour, and they do it a couple times a year. Everybody pays about $500 a person, and they end up, by the time it's all said and done, they end up profiting about, he thought about $4,000 or $5,000, but he books like hotels and some places to stop. They probably go to about 3 places in a day and have their meals, and, yeah, it would be a model for us to follow if we
And
do
didn't they go
decide.
across the whole state? Like
They
they were in
actually went
Green
up
Bay.
into- no, they actually went up into Minnesota, northern Minnesota, and then came back down. We were on their way back.
Yeah, it was quite a trip, and they loved it. You know, when they stopped in and talked to us at the museum, they were having a great time, and, yeah.
And then the next one about the Wisconsin Historical Society and Council for Local History. I already told you that Brenna is the new representative for our district. And we are planning, and I'm gonna be done with that, but we are planning a regional meeting.
Yeah, meeting, yeah.
For January, I think it's January 15th, and it's probably Hayward, because this group goes up like to Ashland, and I don't even know how big the area is, but it's a fairly big area. Eau Claire is not part of it, but anyway.
So who will that regional meeting be?
It'll be for all of you.
Okay.
And we have a tentative topic. Sherry Peterson had suggested that we get a speaker to talk on interpreting Native American history in our museums, which we've talked about that here many times, you know, trying to get it right. So, and Janet thought that would be a great topic. And since it's actually, Hayward was probably our most centrally located area, it would put us right by the reservation, so it would be perfect.
And you think it's the 15th?
Yeah, we're pretty sure.
Tentatively, I just need to make sure it's like, if the school is open for the actual like, conference room and everything, so.
And then we would probably tour their museum if that works too. I can't remember what was
The
the name of
Kinnaman
it.
School?
Yeah.
Or it's like a tribal school that's like right,
Do you have a date yet?
tentatively the 15th, January 15th. I just need to confirm with the actual school
We can't
there.
go to Arizona till after that.
Good thing we're not waiting till the 16th then.
Yeah.
So,
Or yeah,
Dan Mosé was down to the county museum in 2004 and gave a talk, part of Brenna's new website
Yes.
for a YouTube channel. We're digitizing her videos and that, and so that's one of part of that. We also have Archie Mosé on an audio tape that I haven't put out yet too. So those are quite interesting topics. This can be found on YouTube if you just search for Polk County, Wisconsin history on YouTube, and you can find this channel, which was put up last week, and already, I'm advertising here, already has 1,300 views, 115 hours of view time, and 8 subscribers. If you get to 1,000 subscribers, then you get
I
paid.
get monetized.
Yeah, I have my own personal channel, River Road Rambling, has 1,500, and I get $50 a month for my video views of my 400 videos out
That's
there.
cool.
Oh, I tell
So
you.
I think Brenda, you should send an email to all of us with yours
Yeah.
and his, and we can all subscribe.
Yeah, oh yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Get my,
Yeah,
get my.
I only want quality subscribers. But part of the interesting part, okay, what we're doing is we have lots of information in our museums, and people don't always come to see it, so how do we get it out to them? And can we make money on how we get it out to them is sort of a question, and not easily is the answer, but, okay. Anyway, I'll save the rest.
Can you send me the link to it? So, because I think you said you have to
Of course
transfer
I
it over
did.
to me.
No,
Oh, did
I
you?
didn't.
No,
No, I
okay.
didn't, yeah,
I was
I
like,
didn't.
I don't remember this.
No, it's part of being, if you have a Gmail account,
Yes,
means you
yes,
have a
so if I
Google
transfer
account,
it.
means that you can do maps, you can do YouTube channels, all that stuff is free. Maps, YouTube channels, mail, you have 15 gigabytes of cloud storage. I forget, there's about 20 different things you can do all for free on there if you have that. And if you're like me, where you have hundreds of thousands of images, actually, then you buy $100 a year for a couple of terabytes of storage on the cloud, so you can share them there. But
Yeah,
Okay.
if I can.
I'm advertising.
Well, we're gonna get you down here a little later, we're on the agenda for a little later here. Is that it for the old business? New business. List of experts for programs.
I don't know why my name got on there.
Well, because I think you wanted to ask about
I
it, so I just
asked
put you in there.
Yeah.
So,
Do we have a list?
We did
No, but-
talk about making one
Yeah,
last
we
time.
That's all the further we've gotten with it.
Great.
I mean, I know the Historical Society, the Wisconsin Historical Society obviously has a list, and, you know, you can like request the speakers through their website, and I think it really depends on the speaker and how far away they are as to whether or not they do require like a fee.
Most of the speakers are Madison, Milwaukee area.
Yes, so a lot of it is cost prohibitive in terms of, you know, can you afford to pay for them to come out here, pay for their hotel, whatever. I mean, there are, because I was digging through, I think there's a couple that might be in like the Stillwater Hudson area, so it's like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of close,
So
but.
basically, we need a list of experts around here that will come in and do
We do.
programs or whatever.
Yeah,
We do
so-
need that.
So Brenna's been doing that with local people at the county museum.
Yeah, my speaker series. So yeah, I mean, I can get at least, that's something I guess we can do for the next meeting as like a to-do item. So if you have had speakers, or do you have people that regularly kind of are willing to talk or things like that. I guess the other thing too though is to make sure that those people are okay with it, right? Because I mean, and I'm not trying to say like, oh, it's mine, you can't have the list, but just to make sure that these people are okay with being contacted, you know, on a more regular basis than just by your museum, to give talks. Because I know Tammy shared a few people with me for like our Pioneer Days event, and the couple people that did, you know, that I did reach out to that did get back to me were like, oh, well, yeah, I'm a little busy that weekend. So, you know, it also just kind of depends. Or somebody was like, I'm retired, so I really only have time to do like one. So, which is totally fine.
So the, that Northern Wisconsin Heritage Council is also putting together a list.
Oh, good. Okay.
So one of the more popular things that I've seen anyway with different museums, including at Luck, and we did at Cushing sometimes, is having people who are experts, sort of like collector type people, evaluate the things that people bring in. There's a guy up by Siren or Webster, can't think of his name now, but anyway, he's a photography nut, and he wrote this book on everything that every collectible camera. He's the head of it, and we had him come into the Luck Museum, probably 10 years ago. But
Is it Mike or something?
no, James McEwen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's still around. His wife occasionally puts a thing from Forts in the newspaper. She works up there. But anyway, he came in and talked about camera collecting and history, showed us a bunch, and then people could bring in their own cameras. And another guy brought in, like Alan, or probably you could, identifying arrow or Indian artifacts and stuff like that. We had that. Another guy, Alan Hansen, did postcards. He's a postcard stamp collector type person, and those are quite fun because, and then sometimes antique dealers, the county used to do that too. An antique dealer would say, okay, bring in your luggable antique and, you know, evaluate it. So that, and almost how you do that is you just find somebody who collects the stuff and they know about it. We even did one on fruit jars at Cushing because it was a fruit jar collector, which I learned more about fruit jars than probably any of you all know.
So it's like the Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people like that because they get to bring something in and say, is this valuable or not? And so those kind of experts, and you have them in your community because they collect stuff. It's like my brother, younger brother, Everett, who doesn't turn 78 for a year and a half, is into axe heads and lanterns. And so that's his two expertise. You know, and if you ask somebody like that to talk about their collection, that's what they like to do anyway, so.
I just wanna make a quick comment about that. So the Richmond Library had somebody just come up from Iola, Wisconsin, and they were on Antiques Roadshow, and I kid you not, he did a Google search. Google Lens search. That's what, and I'm like,
Yeah,
anybody could have done that.
yeah,
And he charged $600.
yeah. Well, that's like when you go to the doctor and they don't know what's wrong with you, they look it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I think though the intense, we had a button collector at Luck, which was really fun. We had a beater come in and talk about that, and then you know, about the, from part Native American. Those are really, and they are around us in our community if we just look around at people who are generally boring us, trying to show us their latest piece for their collection.
That McEwen guy, is he the one that was from like St. Croix Falls area?
He taught school in Grantsburg.
Okay, does he do the tin types? There was someone in.
No, he wrote this book about this thick. We got a copy at Luck, although now it's electronic, but on every camera ever made that he could find and what it was for value it was. And there's a copy of it at the Luck Museum.
Does
And,
anyone know who the guy is from, I think from the St. Croix
Oh,
Falls
that
area
does the tin types?
types?
No, but they had them at Stillwater, and we could get the name through the, what's the guy's name in Stillwater that runs that place? Peterson, no. Anyway, we could find his name.
You can do that
We could
yourself.
find it out. No,
You
but
can print
actually,
you can print on any material pretty much that you want if you have the right kind of printer, on top of a cake if you want to or anything. And
oh,
so
but
you
this
just
guy
get a
came
piece of
in
metal.
and printed your picture on,
And tin
you know, you had to
types.
sit there and not move. It was awful. I blinked 100 times, so ours is real bad. But I'll find his name, Brett.
Oh, from the
And-
Stillwater Museum?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
he,
it's Peterson.
they
I
had
thought
him
he was
there.
from- I thought he was from Washington County, Minnesota, that.
Whatever, he was at the Stillwater
Stillwater.
Museum, and
Yeah.
they had this
I
guy
think it's the
there.
Washington County, but I think
It
it's
probably
in
is.
Stillwater or something like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was St. Paul, but okay.
Russ, you know the
So,
name of that
we're still on
website
list of
for-
experts, so is
you know
any,
that name of the website for looking at the camera, you know?
I haven't actually looked at it.
Oh, okay,
I
that's fine.
just call James McEwen in the phone book out of Siren and ask him. He used to be a school teacher, so he's a decent person. To be with the school teacher.
Yeah.
It's like herding cats, isn't it, Jim?
yes, okay, we're going to move on to, whatever a traveling trunk is, I don't know what that is, somebody have to enlighten me, I guess.
I vaguely know what this is. So this is any relation to, so I recently received funding from the Green Bay Packers Foundation to create basically, so a while back at the mini conference, it wasn't Janet, it was the education coordinator.
Oh, was it, I can picture her and I can.
I know. So she brought in those trunks or those little boxes, right, for us to kind of practice with and like play around with as an example of like this is what she does for kids. So I figured, well, you know what, why not do the same thing? So I received funding from the Packers Foundation to basically create our own that are specific to the Polk County Museum that can then be loaned out to Polk County schools. So I think so far I've got enough for like 5 boxes. It's, you know, it's small right now, but the idea is that this will feature something that's really specific to, it's a little bit different for me because I have the county museum, so it's not, it's a little funky to try and figure out, but I would be happy to work with, no offense, Barron County, but Polk County museums, to figure out if there's something specific that you might be interested in doing with this. So right now I have one mostly done. It's a logging box. So it teaches kids a little bit about the logging industry, specifically in the Polk County area or specifically kind of along the St. Croix River, like in this area. And so one of the activities I have them do is just simple as like, hey, label this map, you know, so there's stop points on a, you know, a Google map of of the St. Croix River, and there's a jumbled up list of, you know, the actual steps of what happens to a log when it, you know, when it's from when it's harvested to when it ends up at a sawmill in Stillwater. And then, you know, I have references for teachers. I have them aligned to Wisconsin DPI, what is it, DPI standards. And then I have another like fun activity included as well of just letting them create their own logging markers. So it's like, you know, there's again just a sheet that has a, you know, just a cross-cut section of log, and then kids can learn about why logging markers were used, and then they get to do a fun little like design your own activity. So, you know, these are ideas that will take maybe like, I don't know, 30 to 40 minutes, so maybe just like one quick class session. They're typically tailored to kids that are around 4th grade, because that's when they start to do the state and local history. That's when I get all of my school visits. But I mean, they can definitely be scaled up or scaled, well, maybe not scaled down so much, but scaled up for sure, for the upper grades. But I also want to include in each of these boxes either a mold or like an artifact that's also, you know, because I have a lot of excess artifacts. So I have a lot of extra like logging marker, like axe heads, so I have one that I'm going to include in the box. And so this funding from the Packers Foundation will include, it includes, you know, money to obviously like purchase the supplies to make all of the boxes, but then it also includes shipping, like funding for shipping. So if I can't drive all the way around the county dropping off and picking up boxes all the time, this way I can ship it and I don't have to worry so much about the schools also feeling like it's cost prohibitive to ship it back to me. So that's just kind of an update. That's just something, it's small enough. A lot of the information I found.
How big is the box?
It kind of, I mean, they'll probably just be fairly small boxes, depending on, I guess, the size of the object that I include. So one of the other ones is small enough. It's about sketching an artifact, so it's teaching kids kind of like what archaeologists do. So I'm including a mold of projectile point, so you know, so kids can kind of get an idea of how archaeologists not only take pictures of it, but how they actually sketch it from the front, from the side, you know, all of that kind of stuff, so they can get the idea of how something was crafted.
Did you come up with all those ideas yourself?
So some of them I had brief ideas, but there's actually a group, there's a museum, I think it's like, it might have been the State Museum out in Alaska, or it might have been a smaller museum, but they have something very similar that they kind of crafted. So I took the format from their website and I kind of did something like that.
So the Chippewa Valley Museum has 30 or 40 of them, and
yeah,
they use,
theirs are like
a
big.
tote. Theirs are about this size.
Yeah, so mine are going to be a little bit scaled down, just based on, you know, again, I only got so much money and I want to be able to stretch this as long as I can.
Colonial Williamsburg has them too, but it's a super long waiting list.
No?
I tried to get them for years and
Yeah.
I've not been able to get one. But one of the things I was going to suggest, and I don't know what the logistics would be, is that if each one of our historical societies created a trunk of a different topic.
Oh, yeah.
And then I know like different CESAs, the Cooperative Educational Services Association, used to mail stuff. They had their own mailing thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if we could ask them, they could be the ones who are in
Okay,
charge.
okay.
So if the Cameron High School checks out one of the trunks for a week, then CESA would ship it on to the next school.
Okay.
Does
You know,
CESA
that's-
still do that?
I don't know. That's like, I'd have to.
They're in Turtle Lake.
I'd have to look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, ours
Yeah,
is
they
in
are.
Turtle Lake.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
But there's different CESAs.
CESA
CESA
11
is
Yeah.
serves
Turtle
a
Lake.
large area.
And then there's CESA 10 does a large area as well. So I don't know if they still have an intermail thing or not.
So
We would check.
Sarah's daughter Frankie did one for our museum, I don't know, probably now about 4 or 5 years
Yeah.
ago, for her National Honor Society project. And
On toys.
on, yeah, children's
Yeah, oh,
toys
cool.
from
Toys,
the,
yeah.
from the 1800s.
Yeah, I think I have something that's, I think there are toys included in one of them.
And they're in a tote
Yeah.
that we have. And,
Yeah.
But we haven't advertised it, you know, we haven't.
Because we don't have
used it.
enough, if we had more,
I know.
more
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And that's why, yeah, I mean, I know part of it obviously just depends on like, yeah, what I received, but also I wanted to keep it small enough that I could, again, because it's
And
me.
storage.
I'm the only one that's
Yes.
managing it, I'm the only one that can store it, so I wanted to keep it small enough that I can manage it all, in addition to doing everything else. So that's why it's kind of just specific to Polk County, but yeah, I think something like that could definitely be scalable.
And if we can support our teachers.
Yes, and that was my goal. Yeah.
One of the things I would like to do is, you know, we have Act 31 where you can teach about the Ojibwa treaties. I would like to do a treaty tote. and have copies of the treaties, and then it would cover those standards, and then those teachers wouldn't have to do that. That would be something that,
And
you
now,
know.
what is the new one that's coming out? Another act that they have to teach? I can't, it has to do with civil rights with the riots that we had a few years ago, and is what spurred it, but what is that
I don't remember what it's called, yeah.
Well, there's one now that you have to teach about the Holocaust, which you have to anyway. And then there's one about not African, but Asian American heritage as well. There's a lot of these initiatives going through that have to be covered. So if you could do a trunk like that for the teachers, I think they would really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I'm trying to find, I wanted to be sure that it at least aligned to some kind of standard so that they can justify it to whoever's overseeing it, that they can say, no, look, there's standards that it aligns to, so.
For a lot of them, it's the time.
Yes.
The time to look up the stuff and get the stuff, but the museum can do that for them.
Yeah, that's essentially what I do. I'm including, obviously references and and websites that are short and simple and kind of give an overview, but then I'm also trying to include as much as I can in terms of if you just read this in one sitting, which I know is difficult as well, but it should be small enough for them to kind of get the idea, and then the kids can still do some kind of fun activity with it, and it's not, it's at least a little bit
And you got that from the Packers Foundation?
Yeah, so they cycle through what they fund every year. So this year they had 3 sections, and one of them was education. I would assume education's some kind of form every year, so you could probably relate it back to if you applied next year for it. So
okay, well that's cool.
But yeah, I think it starts at $3,000 and the maximum is $8,000 for their funding. So I mean it's still pretty good. So
thank you.
Okay.
CISA does still do inter-school deliveries.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, Rose. To continue on here, there was something about scheduling review.
January.
Yeah, so Chris Henning from Grantsburg, and I know Rochelle obviously is not here, but Chris Henning mentioned that December could potentially be a little too busy for some folks to make meetings like this. She was curious if it would be, if we would be interested in shifting the meeting dates. I know that might then start shifting things really weird because we usually have this bigger break between December and then the mini conference and our next meeting in April. So there's kind of a larger break, but I mean.
What if we met in January?
Yeah, and then did January, April, July, and
July, but then we have a big one in July.
Well, September, no, we meet in September.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And then October. Okay, if we went 1 month, it would be January, April, July,
September.
October.
Well, we meet in September.
I know.
Yeah,
but
if we
were
shifted it,
switching
though.
Oh,
1
I
month.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So is the only one December the only problem?
It seems to be. I mean, I guess nobody else has said.
Wouldn't July be just as bad though?
July's.
I mean, July's not great for us.
It wouldn't be good for us.
Yeah, I mean, we make it work, but it's not.
Sunbirds go south in January too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people tend to wait till after the holidays and then they go south. You guys are going to Arizona.
Oh, you're right.
So,
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, February, May, August, November would be if we switched it 2 months.
I don't know, I think it works fine as it is. I don't know.
It's early enough in
We got a
December.
full house here, we don't have, Rochelle said she couldn't make it because her husband's having surgery and.
Yeah, that's not
And,
necessarily
There's always gonna be reasons.
Yeah, right,
There's always
exactly.
gonna be reason for somebody can't make it.
I think geographically is probably as much of a problem coming over to this part of the state right along, is quite a ways for Birchwood, for instance. What's that, like an hour?
Hour and 15.
But was it worth it?
Yeah.
Not so far, but wait. No, I mean, that.
I used to drive an hour to work.
So I think
it's not a
it would
big
be
deal.
nice if we could have it so we didn't have to drive, it would be central. I liked Barron just because it's sort of in the central
I like going
area
to the
of our
different
group.
museums though.
We've
Yeah,
lost
I
a lot of
know.
we've lost some of our southeast, like
We
Shatek
did.
and some of those.
So if ever you guys decide you wanna meet at Barron, you could meet there all the time. But I'm with Pat, I like to see other
Oh,
people's
sure, yeah.
museums. But
I mean,
but
we
we
could
are
always
year
do-
round, so whenever.
Could we do a standing thing, maybe every December we have a meeting in a set spot, maybe to you know,
Is
to
it
where,
more central?
especially if it's
With
December
weather?
and people don't have to, you know, yeah, this bearing the most central, I suppose, I don't know, then that way it might be so people don't have to drive as far to, you know, all over the
It's
place.
still gonna be an hour for Grantsburg.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to, it was just a thought too, again, for, you know.
Well, the mini conference is usually held in Barron, isn't it?
Well, we had
Yeah, we did it
one
last
year
year.
before we
We
did
did
it in
Chippewa.
Chippewa Falls.
Okay,
We've only
that's
had
right,
two.
that's right.
So I guess that's, has to be on our agenda this time,
Yeah.
where and when,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
Yeah,
If
we,
they're gonna go to Barron, they might as well come to our village.
that's where they would,
That's where
they
we
park
did.
there.
Oh, okay, I thought you meant like,
No.
just
No,
the
they
city Barron.
They mean,
Okay,
Barron
I
County.
knew.
maybe yes, okay.
Okay, well,
Gotcha.
Chris she'll get over it. December stays.
Yeah.
December's she missed it already.
Yeah, December stays, that's it, so.
She wasn't here to push her
Yeah, she-
idea, so she left.
Then can we talk about the mini conference before we
She's
do
not
museum
present.
updates? Because museum updates can take
Yeah.
a long time.
Well, not if you really clamp down.
Yeah.
So,
So
we didn't
typically,
come out with the meeting thing, I didn't,
So
So
we have
we
this,
decided not to change it.
Yeah,
we have
December
a
6th.
big meeting in April where we have speakers and
Okay.
everything. That's called a mini conference, and so we have to figure out where and who's gonna organize it and all that stuff. And generally, we default to let the county historical society people, like Pioneer Village and Polk County, be the ones that take responsibility, because they have so much more experience and so much more.
I have no kitchen, so,
Well, isn't,
But I mean,
isn't
but
Grantsburg
we
the
have to figure
Burnett
out where to
County?
do it too.
yeah.
Grantsburg is the Burnett
Right,
County too,
right,
as far as
yeah.
that goes. And then what is Russ County? That's the Ladysmith one, I think.
Oh, yeah, and late, well, there's also Bruce and,
Oh, yeah.
I forgot, there
That's
seemed
part
like
of Russ
somebody else
County.
over there.
That's Russ County.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And then
we're
You're in
Washburn.
Sawyer?
Washburn.
On the back. not the-
But we don't have anybody
Yeah,
but you
I
in
know.
Washburn, except Spooner has said that they are, but they haven't ever done the railroad member.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, you think he came?
Oh, yeah, he got real mad at me about the passport thing, and then I've never heard from him.
Oh, really?
Really?
He was like, I wanna be included, and I was like, okay, send me your information.
Yeah, because wasn't he at the last meeting?
Maybe, I don't know.
Now he was at some meeting.
so
else
are we
that week.
decided to let,
Oh, yeah.
Sage.
We should
I-
pick a place, shouldn't we?
For the mini conference?
Oh, for the.
one in April?
Mhm.
Yeah. I think it's been quite a while since Barron has had a mini conference.
Almost a year.
They have such a nice facility, and they provide such a nice lunch,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're so central.
It's fine
So,
with us.
all in
Anybody-
favor?
Does anybody else want to host it or know of a good place? I mean, you're more than welcome to come there. I was worried last year about having enough room and it seemed to work out all right, so you're welcome. But if somebody else has another thought,
Like, I wouldn't mind hosting it, it's just I have no kitchen, so it's, you know, it's a little bit more of a hassle to get food in there and all that kind of stuff from our standpoint, so. You guys already have like the nice setup for food and everything, but
so
I'll
then-
just charge you more if I have to host it, cause then I'm gonna have to get catering, so.
all right, then pick a date.
This is normally, what, the second?
We should do
Tuesday of the month,
Tuesday,
is
so it'll be
that
the
our-
15th, the 8th this year.
Would be the eighth, cause I
It'd
know
be the
April
8th.
first is on a Tuesday, we found that out.
Yeah.
So the one
We
thing
had
I,
April.
the one thing I will say, so that was one, I think I got a few comments, I don't know if you were CC'd on them last year when we were planning it, but I did get a couple people, I don't know, kind of upset that it wasn't on a weekend, like on a Saturday. You know, I am of the persuasion that my weekend is my weekend, and you know what I mean? But I can understand where some people who do also still work full-time, you know, do want to attend these and they can't, or they have to take PTO to come with it. So, I mean, that's also a discussion.
So So the problem with discussing it here is that everybody here is either retired or works in the museum
Right.
field.
Yes, yeah.
And
So
can be
it's,
here.
right.
Katie, when you send out the minutes, I'll send them to you, can you ask people to?
Yeah, I
send
can
that?
have it, yeah, I can kind of get like,
Can we get a couple of dates that they can
yeah,
pick from?
yep, I think I'll do, yeah, just a quick,
We could look at
survey.
the 8th of April, which is a Tuesday.
Okay,
The 12th would be the Saturday after that.
okay,
That's the two I would say too.
okay, April 8th.
When is Easter this year?
20th.
Good
The
Friday is the
21st.
18th.
Or the 20th.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'd wanna stay away from that weekend.
Okay, so the 8th or the 12th.
Okay.
And then do we have suggestions for speakers or topics that you
So
wanna?
I still have that list from last year that we can go through, and kind of sift through. I also, when I was talking to Mallory, I did mention the mini conference, and I said, you know, hey, so you guys might not be able to fund that, like, for a speaker, but, nudge, nudge, hint, hint, do you know anybody? And she said she'd introduce me to a few different people that could also, potentially that are, I think, work at the Historical Society, so they might be interested in coming out to do another, like, discussion topic.
One of the, I believe, was it last meeting or time before, everybody around the room added to their comments, and we could use volunteers. I don't know if you remember that, we could use more volunteers. Well, anyway, I do remember that. 'Cause-
Increasing the volunteers in our
Yeah,
organization.
so I mean, maybe we could have one of the subjects is somebody talk about successful volunteer recruitment. Because
We just need a
most of
bigger
us are
population, we have no people.
probably,
What did
Sure.
Paula Gero end up
She
talking
did, I
about
thought it
last
was
year?
that.
Was that
Is that
volunteer?
it?
recruitment?
Yeah, I thought it
Yeah.
was volunteer, well, and it might have been more about like managing volunteers, but
Because she
still,
had
I
two
mean.
topics, one was fundraising, one was that, not in which.
yeah, I think sometimes the people who speak are speaking about giant museums,
Yeah.
not like,
Well, and she came from more
our
of a
horse and
corporate
pony
No,
ones.
side.
hers was, like United Way.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Ross.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
hers is a little bit of a
Yeah.
different background, but yeah.
When you need 5 volunteers and you'd just be happy as could be.
I call it
5 more.
everybody in town.
Brian, could you include that list when we mail?
Yeah, yep, so I'll include the list from last year and then I'll add this in case it wasn't included, but yeah.
Okay.
Also on that volunteer thing, rewarding your volunteers is also a interesting thing, how you reinforce their volunteering, that's part of the getting them too, but
Keeping them is something else.
the county used to do in here, used to do a Woman of the Year.
Yeah, we still do
You
it.
do that, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When I was on the Office on Aging, once a year they would have a picnic for their volunteers. And that brought in lots of people. And
We do too.
We only
Yeah.
have like 8 volunteers, so.
Really small picnic, but.
7 of them are on the board, so.
so that didn't.
The other
Sounds
thing
like
we do
us.
is we solicit, prizes and then we draw, almost everybody gets a prize when we have our volunteer.
Yeah.
Okay. Museum updates. You want, we can go first, I suppose, huh?
Paul, you tell us about our museum update. This is Paul Isaacson. He is our fundraising chairperson. And so,
Oh, boy, where do I start? I can start with the fundraising. I don't have the exact figures in front of me, but we purchased this building 1st of December 2023, right around there, for $150,000. We have now paid our debt down to $30,000, $28,000. So,
to that donation box out there, I mean, if you have an extra $1 or $2.
grants have, we've taken in quite a few dollars in grants, I don't know the total.
About 30,000.
About 30,000.
But those are for project related, not for paying down the debt.
Yeah. And as we proceed forward, I know we're gonna concentrate on digital restoration.
Yep, a lot of our stuff.
not
Preservation.
Digitizing our stuff.
Digitizing
our stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and then part of that will be, how do we do that and get it on our website so it's searchable? And so people go to your museum website and they type in their name and everything you have with that name on it shows up.
Yep.
That's actually probably the goal. So, that being said, we're doing very well. I'll let you talk about LDS.
Oh, yeah, right now we are working on getting a tier 2 certification with the LDS Church. We'll start doing genealogy classes here, research for people, and hopefully we'll start that before February, I think, so.
February, we start.
Start the classes, and we go from to help people do research and stuff. From one of our grants we purchased, we were wanting some glass display cases, so we can put some stuff in there that really shouldn't be touched. We found the jewelry cases from the old Chet Johnson drugstore. We got 7 of them for $200. Perfect condition. So we're loading them up and bringing them here Saturday. So we're gonna be closed January, February, March, so that we can do some rework. Yeah, so you'll have to come back, because it'll look very different.
So what is this room called?
We're just calling it the classroom meeting room.
So you won't have exhibits in here other than maybe what?
Just
puts on the
on the
wall, 'cause
walls.
This is
Yeah.
more for this.
Yeah, this is for
This is
meetings.
nice.
Yep.
Basically what you see here, maybe,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And then the display up here for showing videos and stuff like that.
Fundraising thing is naming your rooms after donors,
Yeah.
so you could call this some big donors.
The Russ Hansen
Well,
contribution.
That's gonna cost you,
I worked at Mayo Clinic, and all the big buildings were
Yeah.
donated by billionaires
Yeah,
or
like
millionaires. And I asked, well, if I left my estate to Mayo, what would they do, name? They said, well, they had
The
a
restroom.
closet. Yeah, they
Yeah.
had a closet.
Had a closet left.
One of the big projects I'm trying to get done is, a lot of the pictures that you see displayed, those are placeholders, because I have to see things. So we're working on digitizing a lot of our photographs and getting them framed and mounted on the walls and stuff. So that's one of the projects we're working on, but we have projects.
And I have a question to ask here. There was one of our members, yesterday, we had our membership meeting, asked something about Native American artifacts.
Yeah.
Is there an issue with displaying things
There's
like,
There's guidelines.
Yeah, I can address that. if you
okay,
like. So you can display things that have been collected from private collections. If they came from a spot, or if the museum that's displaying them has any federal government contributions, then you kind of fall under that rule where if anybody complains about it, then,
Well, I'm going to be in contact, Jim, with the Ojibwe Chippewa tribe and getting
Okay.
asked those questions. I've got
this
that.
individual had
Janet.
a farm north of town here, and over the years, she could just walk around the farm site and
Yes.
find arrowheads.
Well, you've got, the County's got the canoe that they found.
Yeah.
And she's got a collection of between 25 and 30 arrowheads, and she was wondering if it was proper for us to display them.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, because they're not from a burial site or anything, right?
No,
Right.
she just saw them walking around there.
Yeah,
Right.
Around the farm.
perfectly safe, yeah.
That goes under the legal finders keepers.
Yeah.
rule.
Okay, I was just, because she had taught school, I think, out in a place out in South Dakota,
Yeah.
where they had really restrictions that,
If they were collected from government land,
Right.
then
Burial
that could
site.
be an issue, or
Okay.
burial sites are all, even if it's on private.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
collect along the St. Croix River, that's not allowed. You can't collect Indian artifacts in the federal Wild Scenic River area.
okay,
That's
no,
against
she
it.
was just north of town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
like
should do
these
something.
photographs, if you have a chance, go up to the Onamia, to the Mille Lacs, to the Indian Museum up there. Amazing, because they have a diorama with those photographs. And I asked if I could take those photographs, and I told her we're from the museum, and I wanted to display the photographs, and that was fine. The only thing I couldn't do was take a video of it. So,
Okay, I guess I got the answer. And you're
And
gonna
put-
continue
yeah.
it, so.
And put them in those nice cases out there and let us know as soon as they're out, we wanna see
There's
them.
also
Okay.
another principle, you apologize rather than get permission.
absolutely,
Okay.
that's my philosophy. I do it to this group all the
On
time.
the arrowheads, would you be able to
Okay,
look at them,
thank you.
identify and write them
Yeah.
up?
The other thing is if you do, bring those in, you know, I can let you know about the age of them and what
Okay.
style they are.
Okay,
Perfect.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
we got lots of books, so,
Okay,
Well,
perfect.
I'm glad I asked.
yeah.
Did Janet say she's gonna donate them?
She would like to donate them,
Okay, because
yes.
they're gonna go into one of those glass cases
But she
then.
wanted to make for sure that we didn't have any conflict with any Native American tribe or anything that's around her, because they are active in this area. so. Okay, next museum, somebody else wanna?
Oh, yeah, Cushing, our museum is in Cushing, Sterling, Eureka, and Lake Town Historical Society. We're open year-round Mondays, 10 to 2, where I volunteer. That's my day to go in. We're also open by appointment and for events and that too, but mostly. And what I do in winter is I've got this thing called the Obsolete Media Lab, and we're doing this project with the county, Polk County, digitizing their old media, audio tapes, VHS tapes, video, movie, film, slides, et cetera, and that's kind of the project. And I've got one volunteer to help me, and I think I got the second one lined up for this winter. And we do those not only with that, but we take local, like, right now I've got one person coming in from one of the local churches who had a big scrapbook, and they're scanning it page by page on a scanner, and then we're going to turn that into a book for the group and that too. So it's a drop-in area if you got stuff you want to use, want to have digitized. The county has got a lot of stuff, a lot of things, and it's really quite interesting. That's where we had set up this website with VHS tapes. They're poor quality, but I mean, they're interesting anyway. So that's our thing. We had a really good year in terms of our events. Our 19th annual River Road Ramble was really too big. It had too many stops for most people for a one-day event, and that was our biggest complaint. But it was really good, and most of our other events went fine too. So we had a good year. We were financially sound too.
Do we have some money?
What town are you, what town are you in on when you're open on Monday?
Cushing,
It's in
Wisconsin.
Cushing, okay.
It's midway between Grantsburg and St. Croix Falls, named after Caleb Cushing, a big land speculator, politician, senator, judge, whatever.
I found his building difficult to find.
Did you?
Yeah, you
It's
kind
kinda
of
off.
go
We're
around
in
and
the
in the
back
back,
entrance.
it's an
This
old
is an old,
school.
a 1956 school building. By the way, those of you who are open in the winter, do you do like me? You come in, open the doors, get the little mini vac and suck flies for a half hour?
Not so far, we don't know
Hornets
yet.
mostly for us.
Yeah, hornets.
The old buildings, yeah.
Alright, so yeah, Polk County Museum, this was our first year. We started in January having year-round hours, mainly because if I'm gonna be up there, we might as well see what happens if I'm open. So we're open year-round from Wednesdays through Fridays, and then we're also open in the summers on Saturdays, and Sundays for specific like town events. So it's been good. I mean, I think, just getting the word out was kind of, it was pretty slow in the winter, and because Balsam Lake is such a tourist town, things do just dramatically drop off.
We had a kind of a slow year. And, you know, part of the issue is we only, like I said, we maybe have 10 volunteers, active volunteers. And so just being able to be open more than, 2 Saturdays a month, June through September, actually up through August. But we had some successful fundraising activities this year. One of the things we did was to host a crafters fair on the grounds of the Maury House. And so we had, maybe only half a dozen vendors. I think we'll have more next year. But one of the pluses of that was that we got a lot of first-time people into the Maury House, so that was good. Other fundraisers were our usual pie and ice cream social, and that was successful. We did end the fiscal year with about a $1,300 deficit, but we felt really good about the fact that that included paying for replacement of the roof on the War Museum. So, yeah, and we are at 95% of reaching our goal of replacing the funds that replaced the roof on the Maury House. So now we have 2 new roofs, we're in good shape. Let's see, so we're closed now for the winter. Our next meeting will actually be not until April. But for me, the worst thing was that I left for 3 weeks in New Mexico, and I came back and the laptop had died. And this was the second used donated laptop, so we now have purchased a new one and in the process of getting everything put back on that, so hopefully I don't run into them.
The flash, the light is on in your phone.
Oh, thank you. Siri, turn my torch off.
She's not gonna do it.
That's it for us.
Frederick Museum was, I would say, an average year. The 2 fundraisers we have, one is in conjunction with Frederick Family Days, so there's always a lot of people around town. The second one we do in August. Sometimes there are other events going on in town. This year it was a standalone, but it was still about like other years, so we doing all right with that. Guest book signatures were about the same as the last couple of years. We have visitors from 12 states that sign the guest book, and usually in one foreign country or 2. And the interest in that, of course, is the Sioux Line Railroad connection of having an old Sioux Line depot. And it's always kind of funny because when Canadian National sold the salvage rights, when they pulled that railroad line out, they sold the salvage rights on the exterior of the building. And some of the little decorative brackets for the roof were taken off and the signal was gone and all that kind of stuff. And so the brackets we have were recreated from the original blueprints, so they look fine. But the signal we have is actually an Omaha Railroad signal. Which is ironic because the line that came up into Turtle Lake was an Omaha Railroad line, so it may have come from Turtle Lake. But we have people who will tell us that is not the correct signal for the Sioux Line Depot. And
you can send it back down to us if you
we have a 1974 steel caboose sitting there, and when the earlier Historical Society people got that, they basically just cleaned off the interior and painted it white. Well, Sioux Line cabooses of that vintage were painted kind of an off. It's actually U.S. Post Office green.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's supposed to be green. So one of our volunteers last spring repainted and redid the inside of it. It was starting to peel, so it really looks better on the inside than it does on the outside. But we had people tell us that too, that the inside of the cabooses are wrong color. So you get railroad people are interested in dealing with it.
Yeah.
Basically, like I said, it was about an average year or so. That's about it.
What are your open hours?
We're just open Saturdays and Sundays, 11 to 4.
Okay.
Memorial
Every
Day
month? All year
weekend,
long?
Memorial Day weekend till Labor Day weekend, or
Okay.
sometimes we'll stay open later in the fall. In the past, I think I've talked with this group about what we really have the most success with are special events. Something we've had a gentleman from Frederick who's built 2 quarter-scale models of Vietnam-era helicopters. And he didn't do one this year. So, but you got a quarter scale, you gotta remember, a quarter scale Chinook helicopter is 22 feet long. Hauls it around, that ended up, he donated that to a new Vietnam era museum in Texas. So it was only in Frederick for a short period of time. He flew one in Vietnam, and his brother used to work for Osceola Aircraft or Champion Aircraft in Osceola, Wisconsin. But he's planning on building a quarter scale Apache and trying to have it done next summer. So hopefully we'll have another special event with a helicopter like that, so.
We've had a pretty good year in Clear Lake. We don't do any, we haven't done any special events like you're talking about, so that's maybe something we should think about. Financially, we come out okay. One of the questions I was gonna ask the group about was, we don't have many that, we have a dues package or dues program, but we don't have many people that pay dues because there's really no reason to pay dues in a way. So we're kind of looking towards going to just donations instead of dues. And then wondering what, if the rest of the museums publish the donors to try to encourage interest in that, or what you do to try to get people to realize that donations are pretty important to keeping the museum going.
So one of the things that I do, because we walk people through the museum, but one of the things that I do is at the end I say, well, you know, this is all volunteer, you know, we keep the lights on and stuff through donations from our visitors, and so if you win the lottery, please keep us in mind, you know, which kind of lightens it a little bit, but you know, it's seriously, and you know, tell them how the donation box is out by the front door.
But we take pictures of like class reunions that come through, and a lot of, you know, put that in the paper, and
Right.
like the Lioness gave us a donation, so we put that all in the paper. We'd always say how much money they gave, but, you know, we show a picture of them handing us a check. We'd put everything in the Turtle Lake Times, but nobody sees it.
Yeah.
We do a newsletter that comes out quarterly, and so usually the first one that comes out in January, I post just a list kind of on our front page of just like, hey, here are the people that have donated funds in the last year, and you know, the grants, just as a special way to kind of just, you know, acknowledge again, I don't include like monetary amounts, but I just include that they donated. And then we also have we have like 4 of them, which is really weird, and there shouldn't be that many, but we have like a donor tree, and then we have like a, you know, kind of a donor wall, and that's like little plaques of, you know, who donated and stuff like that. So those are as up to date as they can be.
So we've got started in front of the desk, or behind the desk. We're looking for what kind of style we want our legacy wall to be. So it's just, right now, it's just names typed on lists and stuff. And we have membership dues, so they start out yearly.
Tim, why do you can do the donations and memberships?
Yeah, and they do.
Well, I think our group has not figured out how we can make people feel like a membership means something.
Yeah,
Can you do a newsletter?
Well, actually, so we're unique in the sense that we have a newspaper.
Oh yeah, you guys have your.
The Clear Lake Chronicle is a monthly newspaper from the community that is owned by the museum. It was started when the Clear Lake Star left town and became the Indian Head Star and moved to St. Croix Falls, and then went out of business. But so, in order to cover local news, we have a monthly newspaper. So we have an advantage to be able to put things out in it and solicit donations. But I don't know if you people.
I just think there's not awareness. I mean, I was just talking to somebody, I don't even remember where, and I mean, there's just, I think people just think that things happen. Like you know, they were like, what? You know, what do you mean you need money? Well, we just put, like, for the community center, well, yeah, we just put $100,000+,
$30,000 on the roof, yeah.
on the roof, and they're like, oh, you know, they don't think of that. So I think for us, it's how do we get the information out there to the public?
Well, you got your monthly newsletter.
Well,
Yeah, so like in yours, you don't categorize it by donation level, you just,
No, I mean, so that's, we just had this discussion, right, cause we charge membership fees, and we, you know, for a while, we've had like a lifetime membership, and I guess at one point it was like $100, so it's been capped at $100. I think,
Yeah,
well, I think
that's
William and I
that's
think
what
Russ
ours is,
are members,
and-
yeah, and so, but, you know, we discussed, well, do we wanna raise like lifetime memberships? Well, no, because we don't really have that many people purchasing those, but, so I kept it, but Rochelle sent out a list to all of their members this year. They treated like an end of the year, you know, email, just with like an update of everything that they're doing, that they plan to do. But then she kind of categorized their end of the year ask of like, you know, hey, if you would love to help out our museum, you know, we have our tiers essentially. So she had like $1,000 diamond, you know, $750 gold, $500 silver, and like $100 bronze, like whatever it was, something like that. But so that's something that we consider doing next year, and you know, so we'll still kind of send out our membership due lists, but with the main goal of kind of sending more of like an end of the year ask for people, because again, that's kind
We
of
just drafted a letter that we're sending out to all the businesses and all the ones that donated initially when we did our fundraising to get the building, asking for funds, and we outlined what Brenna said, you know, our levels and whatever, so it's going out to all the businesses and some of our bigger donors, and including in that membership for the business to join, consider joining the Historical Society.
in either case, is there an advantage of, other than being a monetary donation, is there an advantage to being a member?
So for us, we have our newsletter that, you know, so basically I send the newsletter out quarterly, but if you're not a member, you don't get the newsletter until 3 months later when the next one comes out, and then I upload the older one onto our website. You know, when we had paid events, if you were a member, you would get free admission to those types of things. You know, things like that. You know, we're also trying to connect it to volunteer opportunities, stuff like that. I mean, I know Larry just sent me a list of ideas, and I just can't remember them. But discounts on any items that we have in like our gift shop, stuff like that. So I mean, there are incentives, but yeah, it's getting people excited and interested, and you know, yeah. So that's kind of the other thing.
And we have membership meetings, and the members elect the board. So they have that power, and they have some input. But I think another way that you could get the message out is, if there's community events, ask if you can set up a little booth or display that has some information about your thing, and have some membership forms that they can fill out there, a little donation jar, you know, so if there's something going on like at the mall or at a bank or something, just ask them, can we set up a display?
So,
You know?
we get about $13,000 a year from our membership dues. And we're not afraid to have, I mean, 'cause we have a low access point where people can pay like $15 for an individual membership, $25 for a couple, I think it's $40 for a family. But then if you're buying like I call it enhanced membership, so like $50 for one person, then their season pass comes with it. Or $100 for the Explorer level, and that's 2 season passes and 2 free passes to bring somebody else. You know, so there's a whole, so we have memberships that are, well, one time we had somebody take $1,000 membership, which shocked me. But we have a couple families take the $500 every year. And then we still do the year-end ask and all those things, and it doesn't seem to affect them. There's still people willing to do it. And as far as we don't have a really great system for noticing people, we do put it in our quarterly newsletter without the amounts, and then we have a wall in the Cultural Arts Building. But I think they're all a source of getting the much needed funds. And if you're in your monthly newsletter or newspaper that you're putting out, are you the president?
Yes.
I think you should have a little article and just talk about, you know, why it's important that we have memberships and that supports us, and here's what we need money for. And
Well, and like Russ said too, you know, if you have a certain donor or somebody that donates enough, you could do a room, right? So like we got a plaque, somebody donated money to just specific, it's very restricted, but it's just for an archives digitization project. But like, we have a plaque, so it's kind of just commemorating like this, you know, this was donated generously by funds from this person. Or yeah, you could have room names, like we had it was kind of a joke thing at our wine walk this year, but I just had like an activity for people to do, and it was like, hey, name one of our rooms. Right now it's just the machine shop, so like whatever. So now the room is called Tool Time, so it's just like a fun, like, you know. So I mean, like you could do something like that where it's like, oh, you get like a room. It doesn't have to be named after them, but maybe they can pick the room or so, like the room name or something.
Good ideas.
You know, it's something we look for all the time is if family or somebody donates some kind of artifact or something interesting we're gonna have on display. I look for every opportunity to do some kind of media release on that, and then you can always tie that into the end of it. What the museum's about and blah, blah, blah. And so you can always get a little extra information. I try to get at least a media release out once a month in the off-season about something going on, just that earned media, as they refer to it, is in the tourism world. So more people see it, the better.
Yeah, one thing like we did yesterday, we had our board meeting at 9, and then we had membership meeting right afterwards, so it's like we get them in here so they're part of it, you know, then they know they're part of something.
Do you get many to the membership meeting?
Oh, yeah, it's filled up yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
A little slower in the winter, but.
yeah.
Our goal is to try to keep at least 30 paid members, because that's sort of like a minimum to get some grants and things like that. And 30, we wouldn't necessarily say active, but at least participating members. And to do that, we bribe them at the, we have events, and we have one called the Old Settlers Picnic in the spring, in June. It's be our 86th year of having that picnic. But anyway, it's there we give a premium of a small bottle of maple syrup for anybody who renews or becomes a new member, which is very, because the bottle of syrup is about that cost of the $10 membership. We also have at Christmas, we have our Christmas party for the members in January, where we have a nice program and attract and open it to the whole community, and then we get some chance to hit people up a little bit for joining for another year. And this year we're going to do something different. We're going to say anybody over 75 can have a lifetime membership. Instead of $100, we'll give them $50 if they're over 75.
Right in your ballpark.
I had a 90-year-old sign up for a $100 lifetime membership last year, and he was in all of his marbles too.
Yeah.
Thanks for all those ideas.
Yeah, well, I think I found a couple of people thought we had federal funding or city funding. And it's like, no, we survive on your donations and small grants. It's just an education thing.
Just maybe another sidelight, you talked about moving that church. We were given an opportunity, between Clear Lake and Amory, there is we call it Chapel Corner, and it was a Bethania or Bethany Lutheran church, and went out of business in the 40s, I believe. Anyway, it's been owned by the town of Blackbrook for a long time, and they haven't used it for anything since the 4-H. It was a 4-H meeting place long before I came to town, but they offered it to us as a museum. But it's brick, and it's anyway, we couldn't accept it because the cost to move it, a brick building which has fairly deteriorated. It just was, it was a great thought, and it would be beautiful if we had a place we could put it if we could get it in, but the money it would take to bring it in was just prohibitive.
Is that the one on F?
Yeah. So now it's in private hands, but the people who live near it own the property now. And they also have the capability of fixing it, so I believe it'd be better off with them than with us. Anything else you guys, that I missed?
I'm gonna ask a question, and I know you've heard it before, and you're saying, oh, not this again. But this is my first opportunity to speak for a group that's probably been asked that question. We have been blessed in Clear Lake to get donations at a period of time when the Antiques Roadshow wasn't on TV yet, and the pickers and that sort of thing. So we're not lacking in exhibit items, but sometimes we get doubles and triplicates, and what do we do with them? And some of them are space heaters. We have, for instance, I think 3 one-bottom plows. And we have a fellow who and his wife who are really into the military thing, and they never turn down a military uniform from anybody. And they're taking up a lot of space. And what methods have you folks used to get that stuff out of your museum to create more space for your
Do you
exhibits?
have a donation policy?
Two
So
thoughts.
to now look at the trailer out here that's got 3 desks on from this museum
Yep.
going to the Polk County fairgrounds for the schoolhouse there.
Okay.
So that's one way of doing it.
Donating back to the.
Yeah, find some place that actually could use it.
So
Yeah.
a good rule of practice is that you have your best, let's see, is it your best one on display or your second best one on display? Your best one is in storage because you need to keep it preserved. And then one that can be used, but plows, you wouldn't need this, but that could be used for, like putting in a traveling trunk. But then after that, deaccession, give it away, get rid of it.
Yeah, if you have things in your inventory, you know, you could put it out here, and if anybody needs something like that to add to their collections.
I think the other thing too is if it's relevant. So like with Polk
Yes.
County, right, like I have a stack of books from Hudson. That has nothing to do with Polk County's history,
Right.
anything like that. So things like that are super easy for me to deaccession. Part of it has to do with the policy, so if you guys have like a deaccession
Yeah, right there.
guideline or policy,
Yeah.
it basically just and you can edit it, but there's guidelines online from the American Association of Museums, but it basically just kind of gives you an idea and a structure of what to do if you have these items that you don't want anymore or that are broken or because I mean there's a lot of items that were in our storage rooms that are now basically
There's some
moldy
here,
and they're
Brenda.
like wrecked. Yeah. So some of the items are just wrecked and they can't be saved. Other items, can be salvageable, but it depends on a cost issue and things like that. But then others it's too far gone or
Or they
it's-
take too much space.
I have two looms, I think.
13
just
pump
taken-
organs.
Yep, I have 3
Oh,
that I don't
we
need.
have 3.
Things like that it's just, and again, it's also too what you wanna do with the space that you have, because you guys are similar to us, you guys are what, a 3-story building or, so you have space, but I think.
Not as big as yours.
I know, but I think you guys are also in the same, you guys probably have some members that are of the same thought process as mine of, well, we have the space, let's fill it. And that becomes, there's too much, there's too many things in there, people can't see everything because it's so crammed full of stuff.
When people bring stuff in here, we have them do this deed of gift.
Yep, we have the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, and it says right in there that if we no longer need it or whatever, we're free to do whatever we want.
Yeah, so ours is similar, we have a clause in there that out, and I can send some of this to you too, because ours outlines every process for what happens when you give us an item. And ours, I have a clause in there that says like, I'll make 3 attempts to return it to you if I can't store it anymore, and if not, then I get to decide, so. And there's a lot of people that donate, they call me about one thing and they donate it, and they say, great, and then they say, well, also I found this stuff. And then, and then I just kind of clarify with them, okay, if I don't want this, what would you like me to do? And they're usually just happy that like, I'll be the Grim Reaper and get rid of their useless stuff and not them. So I think some of that too is just being able to accept things with them knowing that if we can't keep it, then it will,
Furniture and, the military uniforms, theater groups, are always looking for stuff like that.
Yeah. The St. Croix Theater, whatever the St. Croix Theater group is probably.
Festival.
Festival Theater, that one, yes.
also, happy birthday, Russ, by the way.
Yeah.
Do you know
We're
an
gonna move on now? Is that
inexpensive way to
is that the last one?
digitize?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Digitize,
Okay.
do you know an inexpensive way to digitize negatives?
Yes, there we go,
Yeah, okay.
you got 5 minutes.
You're digitized what?
So
Negatives.
Oh, negatives.
Back when I worked in medicine,
I can show you how.
we used to have these x-ray things on the wall, and you stuck the x-ray up and looked at it. Well, that's a good way to start. You take your negative, and you get some kind of a background, like this,
Oh, wait,
take it up, and then just take a picture of it with your camera focused up close. However, you'll find out if you use
I didn't know
a
that, did you?
pad like this, this is a
Our scanner does.
junky
Yeah.
tablet.
But I didn't
It's
know
not
that.
very bright either, but it has little pixels in it, so when you take a picture through, you'll see little dots. So you have to spend some money and build a frame, and then put your light source down in the bottom. Whoop, here. I should have torn those off. Okay, light source in the bottom, and then put your negative, and you decide which side up, glossy side up, I believe, or flat side. Put it on there, and then darken your room and take a picture. That's pretty good, that's adequate, okay, and it's cheap. And I have it at the Cushing, at the Obsolete Media Lab, I have a old photo enlarger, which are just about giveaway items nowadays.
Yeah, we got
A stand with a thing up, and then a thing to hold my camera over there, so I don't have to hold it by hand or anything. And then I can take pictures of it. And then I also, because glass slides are easy because they lay flat, but other ones, I might put a little cardboard or thin thing to slide it through gently. The other part is make this black, and then it won't have internal reflections and stuff like that. But that works, and that gives you a quick idea. And then the software you use, there are lots of software that will turn a negative to a positive. However, that's the cheap way. And if you really want to do it seriously, you borrow our machine. At Cushing, we got a grant to buy, this is Fort Follavoine, they just bought one of these last year. It's a Epson, about, it costs $798. It'll do 8 by 10 negatives because it has a light source in the top or in the bottom, so you can scan that way. The Luck Museum has one, but it's an abbreviated one that will do 35 millimeter slides. See the top? There's a light source up there, so they can do, that's a V600, I think. That'll do, and the Luck Museum has one, that's good for 35 millimeter slides of that. They're very good high resolution. This one here will do, this is a picture of it open, and there are special frames for them, but I just lay the slides down on there. I can't take the time to sit there and do one at a time, so I stack them full and then then separate them out. Okay, Brenna brought over another big box that she found of glass negatives. This is the box of them. I don't know, there's like 20 of them or something in there. So here's 3 of them that I scanned, and the problem is if you look at this one, it was one of my early ones. Anyway, I got to go to the actual files. This is a presentation. I'm at 3 minutes already. Well, okay, let's do, here's one I scanned yesterday at the museum, or maybe it was last week. And it turns out that the box of slides said school on the side, and it was St. Croix Falls. And so here was it's turned sideways, but I can edit it and flip it around. And this takes, okay, now I gotta move my, how do I, here, move my stuff over. So this was a display in the school about some of the thing. Some of these old glass negatives are really high resolution. So you scan them high resolution rather than do the quick one to see what's on them. And let's see. Here is a school building. I don't believe that's the St. Croix Falls School. I went to the old one, and I don't know what the building that is. But and then this in the bottom was the basketball team. And so that was kind of dark and everything. But I scanned all 3, so then I decided, okay, let's see if I can figure out what I got here. One more slide to show you. Oh, this is, I cut that one out with software out of the slide, out of the triple one, and then I show you the resolution. These girls are the, let me go down to the bottom. These girls are the 1924 basketball, St. Croix basketball team, and if I looked in the 1970 or 24 yearbook, I'd find out probably who their names were and everything like that. The ones I was doing this weekend were not glass negatives, they were just the regular ones, pretty near this size, so you gotta flatten them down a little bit, but then it was in the box, it's like maybe 100 negatives in there, and it said, Merlie, M-E-R-L-I-E, Down End, D-O-W-N-E-N-D collection. So I started doing them, I suppose I better show you a few, and they're from Osceola.
Yeah.
Merlie Down End was actually an Osceola person who owned the Okie and Okie Abstract Company in later years. Let's see, oh, I guess this isn't the right ones.
No, there's
Yeah,
one
there's
down
one
there,
right
there's
there.
Marla down there.
Is there one that says Merlie
If
in
you
there?
go 2 columns over,
I can't read anything.
1 over, up to the top.
Okay, so these are some of the slides these are the negatives. I could put more of them on this, they were a little smaller. So here's at the Okie Abstract, Okie and Okie, which is Shirley Osceola. This lady was a world traveler, including Sweden, and she took pictures all over, and the negatives are all mixed up. Some are too light, but we can fix them. And some, we don't know where they are. Here is upside down, I put one in, but that I can fix. This is probably downtown Osceola in the winter. I'll turn my computer. Actually, let's just flip it.
What program do you use to enhance the photos once you're done?
I haven't done any of these enhancing. I'm showing you interactive. This is just the free one that comes with,
Okay.
but every scanner has its own software, and those of us who are purists try to find something we really like. And so in 1995, I bought a scanner that had some software that I really like, so that's what I still use.
Okay.
It's totally obsolete, but this, I believe, is downtown Osceola. But anyway, so a lot of those photos are from Osceola. Another batch was from St. Croix Falls. So they were donated to the county. We hope to disseminate them out for the people that are interested in them, and then help try to get some identification.
Yep.
This is probably 1940s. The lady who did these was born in 1890, never married, worked all of her life, started as a stenographer in the law office, and then the abstract office, and then she took it over eventually. And,
So what do we gotta do, it says here to digitize this, what do you,
that's what the machine does. You just
Okay.
set it on the machine,
okay.
put the cover down and press a button,
That's what that'll do.
and then they go into the computer, and then these are raw images in the computer, which I would, if I were a more patient person and had more years ahead of me, I would do them one at a time. But as it is, I try to do, I like this one here. This one is, she's clearly somewhere, this is her, and she's in the Black Hills Transportation Corporation. So I have a lot of fun reading, as I go through these and scan them, I look at them and I say, oh, there's another one, that same one there. Some old schoolhouse or church, some scene, and some boat stuff, and anyway. So,
1/4 after, guys.
yep,
Okay.
okay.
Happy
That's it.
birthday
Yeah,
to
oh, by the way,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Russ. Happy birthday to you.
Now I have to give a speech. If you have negatives that you want done, you can bring them up to the Cushing, and some of your museums have borrowed the device we have and kept it for months or 6 months or something. And so like Barron and Chautauqua and well, anyway, different places, so that's possible. You don't have to buy your own, okay? The one we have was meant to be shared.
Okay.
So, one more quick thing before that April date, and that actually is 4 months. That throws our rotation off. I don't know if that matters.
Well, we did April last time, so I think we always kind of had a longer break between December and April. Yeah.
Good with that, just wanted to make sure
Yep.
everyone was aware of it.
Yeah.
So what was the date I need?
Well, I'm
for
gonna
April?
send out a
We can see.
survey between the
Okay.
8th if people want to pick the 8th or the 12th, so.
Wonderful meeting, guys.
Okay?
Do we get to look around?
Yes, okay. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
With the cookies on the caramel.
Yeah, he's a good.
From Perry Circle, it's on Highway 8.
Oh.
Go down 46 Highway 8, take a right, it's just right there, but they have some good food.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. You have time to take a look.
Absolutely, please.
So Charles, are you gonna come back, are you gonna come to the museum today, or are you gonna just go?
Yeah.
Oh, this is,
Oh, yeah, that was somebody's.
Snitching on
Yep.
the cookies.
Yeah, good cookies, thank you.
Oh, I know, the treats were fantastic.
yeah. Thank you. They do some good stuff, all home cooking.
Yeah, that was a good idea.
It was super good. I was hoping that I could make them, but guess not.
Thank you.
Did you want to walk around just a little bit?
Yeah, 1 o'clock, you have something,
That's Kansas.
you close at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
You had 45 minutes.
I had one of those, and that was very good choice.
And you should put ice in it.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yes, thanks for hosting us, this is very nice,
So I don't want.
very nice indeed.
Gave us a lot of good
And I should hear
ideas.
about the milk company.
I will see what I can find. Oh, Jim.
So, Tim, there's lots of cookies.
Oh, man.
Thank you, Russell. So, you're gonna go do